Right, today we're going to look at how to structure an effective setting description. I'm going to read this first of all, and then we'll pick it apart and have a look at it. Urgently, Jared charged into Arthur Spiderwick's study. It was a dusty, cluttered room covered with glass jars containing a number of unrecognisable creatures. The hazy sun's rays squeezed through the cracks in the window and illuminated the ramshackle room. Out of the corner of his eye he could see an old dusty desk, an ageing rusty cabinet, and a threadbare office chair. The place smelt of rotting wood and decaying creatures, forcing Jared to hold his sleeve over his face. In the distance he heard Mallory arguing with Simon over her missing medal. Scanning the amazing creatures in the field guide, he spotted the sprite he was looking for. He needed to find it, quick. So the first bit, the first sentence, it says, urgently Jared charged into Arthur Spiderwick's study. So, number one, you need to introduce your character to the setting. Now I start with urgently as an adverb starter. You could put silently, reluctantly, with great trepidation. It's up to you, but you can play around with the words and experiment. The next bit, it was a dusty, cluttered room covered with glass jars containing a number of unrecognisable creatures. This bit just adds a little bit more information about what the place is like. But this is the next bit, and the main bit that we need to think about. The hazy sun's rays squeezed through the cracks in the windows and illuminated the ramshackle room. Now this bit introduces or describes the weather. Now what you need to do when you're describing the weather, try and match it to the story you're writing. So if it's quite a sad story or a scary story, to help build the atmosphere you might have it thundering and lightning or raining. Obviously if it's a happier story you might have the sun out. So make sure you try and match that in to create the atmosphere and have more impact on the reader. Now the next part, number 3, it says, out of the corner of his eye he could see an old, dusty desk, an ageing rusty cabinet, and a threadbare office chair. So this part here is what he could see. Now I'm going to continue it a bit here. The place smelt of rotting wood and decaying creatures, forcing Jared to hold his sleeve over his face. That is what he can smell. And in the distance he heard Mallory arguing with Simon over her missing medal. So this bit here is describing what the character can see, what he can smell and hear. Doesn't have to be in that order. That's just the order I've done it in. Now a little tip when you're doing this, always start with the preposition. So out of the corner of his eye he could see, beyond him he could see, above him. Try and think of a preposition to start it off. And also when I'm listing what he can see, I've done it in a list of 3. So he could see an old dusty desk, comma, an ageing rusty cabinet, and a threadbare office chair. So this way it stops you repeating he could see all the time. He could see, you're not repeating that all. And then finally, the fourth and final thing, I've just written here, scanning the amazing creatures in the field guide, he spotted the sprite he was looking for. He needed to find it quick. So this part is just continuing your story. Move your story forward. So it might be a suspense, it might be something that happens and you don't tell the reader what's happening and you make them want to read on. So in my case, he's looking for this sprite in a field guide and he needs to find it. We don't say why he needs to find it, we leave it so the reader wants to read on. Okay, so have a go at that structure. Number 1, introduce your character to the setting. Number 2, describe the weather to create an atmosphere. Remember to match that appropriately. Number 3, describe what the character can see, smell and hear. And number 4, move your story forward. Make your reader want to carry on reading, alright? Okay.